Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
Beach FM, it's great to welcome back the Mayor of the Horowhenua, Bernie Wanden. Good morning to you, Bernie.
Good morning, John, and to all your listeners.
Well, we seem to be chugging along pretty well, I say. I know I've got a certain note of astonishment in my voice here, but I believe that you've seen some growth figures that, in fact, are growth figures in terms of consumer spending. Who would have thought that in the times in which we live?
Yeah, that's right, John. I mean, it is quite incredible. We know the uncertain times that we've all lived through over the last 6 months or so. It's quite astonishing in some respects that our figures to the end of June 2020 show that our retail spend for the year is actually up by 0.1%.
Amazing.
And it is amazing, considering that we had virtually 2 months of lockdown. No place open. So I think that it's an indication of where we were sitting, up till the end of March. We were looking at probably very strong growth. And in fact, our economy for our whole economy, GDP growth, was down 0.5%, but the rest of the country's down over 2%. So, it does indicate that we have coped a lot better than some parts of the country, which is, really good. I suppose the other thing that it does indicate is that we've got a very diverse economy, and we're not reliant on too many tourism or hospitality in that respect. Yeah.
Yes, those affected industries, which are so badly affected, really taking some regions down. We think of Central Otago, but many of them, and we're not quite in that particular boat. Now, you say that the consumer spending has increased a tad. That would be the aggregate spending, I imagine, because there are more people coming into the Horowhenua now. I imagine that per consumer, the spend may be down a bit.
Possibly, yes. You're probably quite right. I think, though, the other thing that it reflects is the fact that people, even through lockdown and post that initial period, are probably much more aware of where they're spending their money, and that they are willing to support local. Yep. And we hope that continues. I think there's a far greater awareness that people aren't travelling as much as they were, and certainly, my own business, my customer count and transaction count is pretty much the same as it was this time last year, which is reassuring in some ways. But yeah, look, we're not getting too carried away. We know that there will be some challenges as we head towards the end of the year, especially now the wage subsidies coming off.
Yes.
We've got an election looming. And that always tends to constrict or mean that consumer spending is contracted. There's, I'm cautiously optimistic of the future, but not getting too carried away.
Absolutely. And of course, you mentioned the election. That always causes a certain amount of uncertainty. But you are dealing in local government, you are dealing with the business of assumptions, really. I'm just thinking about your long-term plan, which is based on assumptions of growth, etc. Now, I've got a training in economics, and I did some figuring earlier in the year, and I was way out. Most of the economists in the country seem to be way out. No one, I don't think, predicted what you've just been telling us now. So how difficult is it to pull a long-term plan together?
Look, it's extremely difficult. The reality is that, with the growth challenges that we are having, do you put the cart before the horse? Do you put the infrastructure in now and people will come? Or do you sort of build as you need? So there's all these sort of dilemmas that across, and where do you get the money from to do it? Already, debt levels are reasonably high. We've got the 3 water reforms and what impact that might have on local government over the next few years. So there's a heck of a lot of balls in the air to try and land in a reasonable, coherent way that people will actually see that we have got the right vision in front of us for the year. We've already had workshops and briefings around things like where do we see our aquatic services over the next 20 or 30 years?
Yes.
What should we be doing now to, if we've got 10 to 15,000 more people in our district, will our current ability to, for recreation be suitable? And the short answer is probably no. So what do we do? So yes, there's all sorts of dilemmas and issues that we've got to confront.
Absolutely. Incidentally, I see you're doing some work on the hydroslide at the moment, and that's just the normal business of government, isn't it?
That is. Look, the hydroslide's been a bit of an issue for us. It's been out of action for quite some time. Needed major repairs and costing a significant amount of money, but they're well underway now, and we're looking to have that reopened probably late December or January.
So there it is. You're pulling the long-term plan together. I'd have to observe that money is extraordinarily cheap at the moment and likely to remain that way for quite some time. But Bernie, I imagine there's a constraint in terms of the skills and labour required to actually build things with that money. And perhaps you could be entering into a competition for a shrinking resource there.
Look, for sure, and this part of the country with the roading infrastructure, every TA across the bottom half of the North Island is experiencing some sort of growth. We're all having to invest quite significantly in infrastructure, so there is a challenge around capacity. For sure. Hopefully, as a result of COVID, that there will be opportunities for those returning home. Those that aren't going away now, they're stuck here for a while. But we know that there is a significant number of people who are coming back from overseas who need jobs, and hopefully they'll fill some of those. And I know in our own situation here, we've just hired a planner that's returning back from the UK. Will be with us, in a couple of months, which is a great sign for us. And I think, sends a clear message that there are opportunities for people both, in this part of the country as well as others.
I'm strangely elated by what you've been telling me this morning, Bernie. It's not supposed to be as good as this, all those projections of doom and gloom that we had early on in the year. So let's hope it carries on this way. Been great to chat with you today and to catch up, and we look forward to doing it again here on Beach FM. Thank you, Bernie Wanden.
Thank you, John.
106.3 Beach FM.